All right. It's Dakota Burford again, managing partner here at Sell Ops, the Art of Human Hacking. Hope you guys are kicking ass and taking names today. I want to welcome you to the third video in the first week of the Sell Ops program, which is going to be titled The Art of Intel Gathering. And I want to make the most of our time together today, so let's go ahead and jump into this presentation and we will get rocking and rolling. So again, today's video is titled The Art of Intel Gathering. And what we're going to be doing in today's video is we're going to be taking you guys through an introduction to Intel Gathering. Second, we're going to talk about what is intelligence gathering and actually define it as a whole. Third, we're going to be talking about why intelligence gathering is so important when it comes to social engineering, when it comes to sales, when it comes to human hacking. Fourth, we're going to be talking about some different intel gathering tools that you can use every single day to know more about your prospects, to know more about the people that you're working with, and how you can use this cutting edge research and information that some of it's not even public information you would think, and you can use this in your calls, in your social engineers. Next, we're going to talk about communication models. Very, very important thing to understand, and it will definitely help you guys be better, do better, and make more money in the process. And then finally, last but not least, we're going to go into the power of communication models, talk about a little homework, and then we will do a recap of today's entire video like we always do. So let's go ahead and jump into it with part number one, an introduction to intelligence gathering. So, as many of us have heard before, it has been said that information is, of course, power, and no information in today's world is irrelevant. Those words ring very, very true when it comes to today's module. Intel gathering is a critical component when it comes to the success of any high-level human hacker or social engineer. And the more intel recon that you do, that we do, the more information that you have, the more power that you have when it comes to your social engineers. Now, in today's world, with all the technology and tools that we have as social engineers, there's no need to ever go into an interaction cold without doing some type of due diligence first. Therefore, intel gathering is going to really be the first component that we cover in social engineering because it's where the process starts. So I want all of you to consider this your reconnaissance, if you will. So let's start with part number two. What is intelligence gathering? Well, Wikipedia defines intelligence gathering as a process of collecting information. But as a social engineer, there's a bit more to this definition than really meets the eye. And there's really three key components to successfully gathering intel. One is intel collection. Now, intel collection is the first component of intel gathering. Pretty straightforward, definition explains itself, but it's a necessity that's typically overlooked and disregarded by sales professionals worldwide. The second component here is intel analysis. Intel analysis is our second component of intel gathering. This is the art of analyzing and organizing the intel that you actually went out and got yourself and preparing this for the actual interaction that you're going to go to. And last but not least, we've got covert intel planning. This is the hypothesis that you're going to come up with once you've gathered your intel, once you've analyzed your intel. Now we're going to come up with a hypothesis of how you're going to leverage the intel that you found to successfully social engineer your prospect, to successfully human hack your way into exactly what you want from this particular interaction. So now let's talk about part number three. Why is intel gathering so damn important? Now, if you've gathered your intel, if you have analyzed that intel, and you've produced an actual plan or hypothesis, if you will, that will enable you to go into every single interaction with confidence, inside information, and intelligence and an actual game plan, this is of course going to support you when it comes to social engineering and doing more or making more and, really doing less, if you will, because the more prepared you are, the higher your chances are of pulling off your social engineer or your human hack. Now, the more information that you guys have will provide you with better data to analyze, and that data will provide you with a better action plan. If you have no data, if you have no intelligence, you have no plan. You are going into interactions cold, and that is why your conversions are the way they are, and that is why your income is the way it is. If intel gathering was so damn irrelevant and it didn't matter, why would every country dump fortunes into intelligence agencies? They all do. I mean, if you look at the U.S., for example, just CIA. I mean, they collect foreign intel, they analyze it, and they produce a covert action plan, and then they work collectively to do what? Protect the United States. The CIA's legit mission statement is, our mission is straightforward but critical, to leverage the power of information to keep our nation safe. Pretty straightforward, but very powerful. So let's talk about part number 4, some intel gathering tools that you guys can use each and every day to increase your odds of becoming a wildly successful social engineer and hopefully evolve into a human hacker at some point. So when it comes to doing my due diligence, at majority of the companies I work for or work with, or even the companies that I own, for example, Luxvoni, you are selling extremely high ticket services that people don't quite frankly understand. It's a very high level deal. It is very hard to take someone from cold to sold when you're talking about a $25,000 to $100,000 ticket item, and that is the first commitment in that value ladder. A lot of people at our companies, they come through a free webinar, they jump on a strategy session, we temp them out. Sometimes they come in a low ticket, then we drip content to them, scale them up. But at the end of the day, it's always, eventually getting them to a high ticket. That's our goal, and that's what the market told us that they wanted. They wanted someone to build out their webinars, build out their funnels, have a custom tailored, hands-off approach to where we do what we do best and they do what they do best, so they can work on their businesses instead of in their damn businesses. So that's what we do there. And when you're going into these deals and you're talking to C-suite executives, founders of, big startups with lots of VC funding, or, Fortune 50 companies like, I did a deal with U.S. Health Advisors a couple years ago. That's a $900 million organization that is all over the country, satellite offices like over 60 or 70. And there's a lot of moving parts in an organization like that. So, the first place that I started with a deal like that is, once I go into the deal, I'm already searching Google, right? And the old saying is, Google forgives, but it never forgets. So the first place I start is Google. And if you know how to use Google, it can actually be a huge asset when it comes to gathering intel for your actual social engineers. And to be quite frank, there's some secrets in here that you can use that, honestly, it's not even public information. Most people aren't even aware of it. And there's a term called Google Dorks. And Google Dorks is a string of commands that we inject into the Google search engine, and it can provide us with very specific company information that is tied to that particular domain that may not be known as public. And for example, I'll show you real quick how it works. If we go over here to our computer, we'll minimize this, we will maximize this, put a little box here for you, and I will take you guys through a real-time example. So, bigger the company is, more information you find, but let's just theoretically say we are looking at a company like Microsoft. So, here's our Google Dork commands on the right side. You see website domain space file type PDF, website domain space file type doc, website domain space file type XLS, website domain file type text. Now what these commands are doing is it is searching for every file that's hosted through these domains. So PDFs, everything. You can legit find company documents. You can legit find information that you would not think was public. So let's do this. Google.com. I'll go with Google right now. And we'll just use Microsoft as an example. Site.microsoft.com, file type PDF. I click this, boom. So now look, it's pulling every document that is a PDF that's associated with the Microsoft website. All of them. There's 33 million results here. So we can go through and we can start really looking, getting in here. These are back-end documentations that they use for, whatever. This probably isn't public information that's just hanging out there. A lot of information there. Where do security policies come from? Here's their security policy training information for their employees. Microsoft Visual Studio licensing. Here's the PDF and the documents for all their licensing. Compliance 365. Pull this PDF. Let's check this out. HIPAA compliance, Microsoft Office 365. Here's all the intel. Here's the contributors. We've got founder and CEO. We've got chief executive officer. We've got this entire presentation here. So lots of information that we can find. We'll go here to the second page. We can keep going and keep going. Microsoft's not the best example because it's just a massive company. But we'll start here. Site license, Microsoft site license terms. Here's the terms and conditions for licenses on their websites. A lot of information that you wouldn't really think are public, but they are. So information for more of their employees. Healthcare, support Microsoft Office, cardio security website, GE Healthcare. Here's healthcare information. Yeah, we can do this on and on and on. But a lot of information. So I always start with Google Dorks, and I really go through this. Check this out. Evaluation of edge coaching offloading for dynamic content delivery. This is clearly all of their offices in China. And this is not supposed to be public information. I mean, this is an entire presentation on how they're doing what they're doing, advanced evaluation, how they should evaluate, all the references of the people that they brought in for this data, tuning, how they tune the system, implementing F-proxy. I mean, this is a lot of stuff. So let's go back and just try another company here. Site dot example. Trying to do something that's not too big. Site.prezi.com space file type. Prezi, Digital Commons, Tech Matters. Here's all their PowerPoint presentations of how they're setting up their SaaS product. Prezi research documents. Please download visual guidelines for program presenters. Presenting with technology, Rehab Week 2019, guidelines preview. It's built in Prezi. A lot of different documents you can find here. So all this intel's power, guys. You can use every single bit of this for something. As you can see, we can just do this all day long, but there is a lot of information out there. Let's do another one real quick. Let me think of a company. Let's do someone like Grant Cardone. all the free trainings that he charges for. Here's the slides for all of it. So we got that. So if you like free training, here you go. Cardone, DMTS. Here is a free download of his book. Anybody can get that. Affiliate program. You want to be an affiliate. Here's their affiliate program for start to finish. So if you're building an affiliate program, the best way to find what affiliate programs are working is to go steal somebody else's and go through this. So here's their entire training on their entire affiliate program. DRS testing, we already did that on behalf of himself and all others. Grant Cardone. What is this? Ebook reader. Which book is this? I'll pass on opting in today. Award-winning sales training. Okay. You got 4,000 searches here. New Year Grant Cardone. What is this? More ebook reader, Grant Cardone training and products. Download all that stuff. Now there's his entire book. If you don't feel like paying for it, it's probably, he sells that on Amazon, so probably shouldn't be public. But it is. Closer Guide, here's that. Another book he's got. Grant Cardone book. Grant Cardone 10X training. Yeah, so you can get in here, really have some fun and dig, and I'll let you guys do that. But this is the first place I start. I want to know their basic information. I want to know as much as I can. And I want to go into the conversation knowing a lot about their business. So I always start with gathering intel through Google. And once I get done with Google, I move on to my second tool, which is, let's see if I can get this thing clicking. Give me 1 second, guys. All right, we're back. So that's where I start. Google Dork Commands, very powerful tool. I use them every deal that I do, and sometimes I go into the company. I know about lawsuits. I know about compliance issues. I know about FTC issues. I know, a lot of information. Annual sales reports that they don't even think public. I have so much intel going into it. And instead of asking them what their revenue and what their sales are, I know all those numbers. And when I'm talking to a CMO or a CEO and I know the numbers that well, they're like, wow. Our people don't even know these numbers, but I've prepared, right? Because information is power. So always start there. Use your Google Dork commands. Get as much information as you possibly can. The second intel tool that I always use, this is the second place that I go. I start with my Google commands, my Google Dork commands, and then I move into the prospect's website. I go to the company's website and I look around, right? And if I ever get an application from somebody who hasn't website, I just automatically decline them. If they don't have a website, they don't exist. They're not established enough. I'm not going to waste my time getting on a call with them, right? So if I go to a website and I go through it, this is what I'm looking for, and I'm taking notes on all of this. I like to pull all this stuff up in a Google Doc. So how I typically do this process is I will start with my Google Dork commands. We'll start on that. And then I've got a Google Doc listed right over here to the side. And in this Google Doc, I'm doing a couple of things. I've got a header, I've got it well organized, and I got everything going, and I am taking notes on the subject. And I'm finding out as much information as I can so then I can analyze that data. Get it? So I do everything in a Google Doc. You can do anything in paper. Whatever best suits you, do. Simple as that. So, but we start with that. I go to the company website, and what am I looking for? I'm looking for a couple of things. I'm looking for what they do. I'm looking for their contact information. I'm looking for the products and services that they offer to the marketplace. I'm looking for physical locations, how many they have, where are they at. I'm looking on for job openings and the pay for those particular openings. I'm looking for contact information. I'm looking for bios on members and the executive team. And I'm taking notes on each and every one of these. So this is how I would do this process. I'd have my Google Doc on one side of my screen, and I would come over here and I'd go to, let's say, Prezi.com. I've done some consulting with these guys, so I actually went through this process from start to finish on them. I go here, I'm checking out their site. Okay, great. Live presentations, they clearly have some type of presentation. I go to the bottom of their site. The science, conversational presenting for business, for education, testimonials, video gallery, Prezi presents. Okay, cool. Company, about, team, careers. Oh, okay. So I know they build presentations. So that's what they do. So I can come in here, build presentations. And I'm taking notes of this on the other end. The products and services they offer. Well, they offer some type of SaaS product that helps you build better presentations. Okay, that's great. Next, physical locations. Okay, so we go to company. Let's see about this. Okay, we don't have a locations tab. So let's just try about. Okay, they've been founded since 2009. That's great. Here's the clients that use their presentation software, which is awesome. Here's the names of the co-founder, executive chairman, all of that. Community, contact. They've got a lot of different things down here, so that's great. About us, our values, community, press, jobs, leadership. Let's check out their values. We picture, we care, we team. Okay, that's interesting. Leading the way. Jim's the CEO. Peter, co-founder. Principal artist and co-founder. Senior Vice President of Marketing. Chief Technology Officer. So I can go hit every single one of these people on LinkedIn if I wanted to. Jobs. Let's check this out. Okay. What's it like to work with Prezi? This is their mission. This is their opportunity. We team, we care, we picture. Wow. Location, location, location. Lots of location. They've got a location in San Francisco. They've got a location in Budapest. They've got a location in a place that I can't even pronounce. But they have lots of locations, which is great. And they have different sites for all these different languages. Cool. So work-wide benefits. Work-life balance. Cool. Healthcare, career development, stock options. See what's open right now. So here's what they're hiring for. Finance, remote. Compliance manager in Budapest. Compliance manager, remote. Budapest, Berlin, US, remote. Looking for a full stack designer, developer, UX. Renewal specialist, sales and marketing. You can work with this company and be remote. Security engineering, Budapest. So we go here and just hit all locations. Here's all their locations. They're in Berlin, they're in San Francisco. So let's check out San Francisco. Well, they're not hiring directly at San Francisco, but they're hiring in the U.S. at remote U.S. We'll just stick with this. But there's all that. So cool stuff there. Our values, careers, we did that. Jobs openings and pay for those openings. So let's go over here and let's say full stack developer. Where was that at? Unix, UX, US remote. Boom. There's a job description. All of that. Apply for this job. No salary. So there's that. Can't really determine the pay for this one, but we can keep looking around. Product communications. You'll be reporting to the VP of Product and Engineering. 3 years of experience. Here's the requirements. And no pay for this either. So there's that. Contact information. So let's go back over here. We'll scroll down and we will go to the Contacts tab. San Francisco, there's their address, there's their support, ask the community, contact sales. If I was selling them sales consulting, which, I've done some consulting with them on marketing and sales, I would roll into this and I would contact their sales. I would record those sales calls. I would let them know that I'm recording their sales calls. I would request an enterprise contract. I would go through their entire sales process from start to finish and document the entire piece before I ever jumped on a call with them. So I had a game plan of where they screwed up, how their salespeople were, whatever. And I could even do it 4 to 5 times, over and over and over. And then when I get on a call with them, I've got all the documentation, and it's a very easy sell for me to go into. Press inquiries, partnerships, all of that's there. So we got contact information. Next piece, bios on members of their executive teams. Just go follow them on LinkedIn, do some due diligence on them, but it's pretty simple. What's it like working for Prezi? Glassdoor is always a great place to look. They got 18 jobs, 171 salaries. They've got benefits, 25 to 50 mil. Cool. No offers. So we can check out some of these reviews of their employees if we've got an account. Prove as a CEO, 60 to 73%. Some people like them, some people hate them. Pretty freaking common. So tons of information that you can do. But remember, I'm taking notes on all this stuff. So when I go into this call, I am extremely prepared and ready to rock and roll, if that makes sense. So that's the second piece that I use. General information, go through their processes, and really get an inside scoop on what's going on the company. Third place I always go to is one of my favorite places, SimilarWeb.com. SimilarWeb, what this is going to allow you to do is go through the prospect's website and analyze everything. Where their traffic's coming from, the locations of their traffic, their top referring websites, search keywords, social traffic, competitor websites, all of that. So I use this more than anything because, of course, at one of my companies, we sell marketing. So it's pretty good to go into an interaction and you know a lot about their marketing, can tell them how much they're spending on marketing, where their traffic is coming from, and all of that. So let's take a look at Prezi.com since we're using this example. We go to Prezi.com. We're gathering intel on Prezi.com. We're taking all this documentation now. Wow, total monthly visits, 18.12 million. Average duration is 3 seconds. Page per visit, bounce rate. Their traffic is pretty steady. We have a downfall here as far as a trend goes. 13% of their traffic comes from Mexico. 12% of their traffic comes from the United States. 9% of their traffic comes from Colombia, and etc. We go down here. Traffic sources for Prezi. Prezi.com's marketing strategy is focused on search with 69.17% of traffic coming from this channel, followed by direct with 25%. So they are extremely heavy in search engine optimization, also known as SEO, and they are probably pretty heavy in Google AdWords as well. If you look at social, they're not huge on social. They're not running a lot of Facebook traffic. If you look at mail, not a lot of stuff there. If you look at display, very low there. If you look at referrals, 3%. You look at direct. So for the most part, we could say these people are pretty heavy invested in SEO, which is an organic kind of marketing method there. We look at top referring websites. These are the people referring them. Accounts.google, Facebook.com, media, login from Microsoft, e-learning, all of this. So cool information to know. As I mentioned, organic, top 5 organic searches. This is the keywords that they are ranking for to get this particular traffic. Paid keywords, this is their Google AdWords, their paid ads on Google. That's what they're using to rank. So this means they are PPCing, paid per click, on PowerPoint alternatives. So when somebody types in PowerPoint alternatives and their site comes up and someone clicks that, they get charged for that. Now, if you look for them social traffic, which is dramatically low, 1.12%, YouTube, 34%, Facebook, 27%, LinkedIn, 7%, WhatsApp, 7%, Reddit, 6%. Display advertising, audience and interest, also websites that they visited that also look like this. And then we have all of their competitors' site. So you definitely want to use this as much as you can. I have the premium version. I use it all the time. We can do Grant Cardone next. Grant Cardone's website gets about 500,000 visits a month. 61% US, 8% Brazil, 7% Canada, 1% India, and 1% Australia. Move down here, top referring websites. That's Webinar Jam because he runs a lot of webinars just like I do. And as I tell you, webinar is one of the best preloading mechanisms in the world, and you're going to learn about webinars later. There's a reason why that's one of his top referring websites, and literally 21% of that comes from webinars. Cardone University, this is his LMS, his learning management system, which is hosted through, depending on what type of relationship him and Brad Lee are at, depending on which day of the week, it's either in Lightspeed VT or it is in Kajabi, which is the platform that you guys are in right now. We go down here, heavy in SEO. These are the keywords he's ranking for in paid. We look at his social traffic, 10%, pretty good number. 44% is coming from YouTube, 39% is coming from Facebook. If you look at a lot of the guru space, Tony Robbins, Dean Graziosi, Jordan Belfort, Grant Cardone, any of these guys that have branded themselves as influencers, if you will, you're going to see two things in common when it comes to paid traffic or social. Majority of that paid traffic is either YouTube first or Facebook first. Instagram, you're not going to see a lot of traffic come from. You can't have links. You can't send links. It's not a platform that is call to action optimized. Now, you can make money from Instagram. You can do that. You can build a following and all that. But when it comes to website traffic, what you're going to see, is majority of traffic does not come from Instagram. And you're going to see that from even massive Instagram followers who have 4 million visits or 4 million followers. So if we look at our boy TyLopez.com, you're going to see the same thing. He's got like nearly 4 million followers. Instagram is his, social platform of choice, but it's organic. And same thing with him. Facebook's number one. Why? Facebook advertising. Why is YouTube number two? Google owns YouTube. Running YouTube ads, running Google AdWords. And then again, Instagram. So you're going to see that across majority of industries. Now, this is really going to allow you to understand how established a company is, where their marketing dollars are being spent, what keywords they're ranking, what their biggest competitors are without having to ask them. If you're selling a CEO, the more information that you know and the more prepared that you are, the more impressed that he's going to be. So there's that. That is similarweb.com, one of my favorite little tools there. The fourth place I go is social media. I'll show you how I do this. I look for their company's social media profiles, their Facebook, their Twitter, their LinkedIn. I'll take notes and just get an idea of who I'm going to be speaking to. I like taking notes of their interests, their experiences, different places they like to travel, so I can build rapport as I do that. So let's just start. Maybe we'll use Sean. Let me just show you Sean here. So we go to Sean. And I look at Sean, and I pull this guy up. Okay, so say I got a call set up with this guy, and I'm selling marketing services or something to him. I've got to find out a little bit of information about him. So based on the first 5 seconds of looking at his timeline, we can say that he's probably qualified to buy marketing services. He's flying private here. He's traveling. He's got a G63, $240,000 SUV. Right here, he's driving a Rolls Royce. He's wearing a Amari's Pidgeot, which is a $60,000 to $100,000 watch. G-Wagon again, Mercedes SLS. Birthday was on September 25th, so he's got a birthday coming up this month. That's nice to know. I'll take note of that. Sting HD. Okay, now we know who he works for. Okay, cool. So there's all that. And then I can visit a little information here. Go here to tagged photos, see who else has been tagged in his stuff. Check this photo out. Chase Zimmerman, Chase Zimmerman. That is the son of Zimmerman Marketing, one of the biggest advertising agencies on the planet. A couple $1 billion in gross revenue. So that's nice to know. He's hanging out with Chase Zimmerman. Okay, there's his dad. There's Mr. Zimmerman right there. So now, let's look up the Sting HD Chase Zimmerman. Chase Zimmerman, Boca Raton. Okay, he works at the same company, Sting HD. Ah, look here, local success. That didn't work, but longtime friends Sean and Chase Zimmerman put their expertise in Sting HD bracelets. Okay, so Sting HD. What is Sting HD? We scroll through here. Sting HD, our product lines. Clearly not working anytime soon. Here's their Instagram. They're followed by 83,000 people. Seems like they make really high-end bracelets. That's unique. Go to their images, gather some intel. Okay, luxury bracelets, that's what they specialize in. And there's Sean again. Secret Entourage, which is Peachman. There's Peachman, Chase, and all of them there. There's all their cars. So as we can tell, he's definitely somebody we want to qualify. He's a big car guy, so we've got that in common. I can use that to build a rapport. So there's all that. That's how we can gather intel on social. I like doing a couple of places. I look at these places here. We will go, and this is where I kind of gather my intel. I'll start on Facebook, LinkedIn, Insta, Twitter, Google, and basically just go through and gather intel. Where they're traveling, where their birthday is, common watches they have. Hey man, I noticed you were wearing a Royal Oak AP. I've got one too. Super awesome watch. What's the favorite model of AP that you suggest? I mean, I'm looking and I'm in the market now for a new watch. What's hot out there, man? What do you see? It's instant rapport builders. So the more information you have, the more power you have. And if you can have all this information without asking, you're prepared, right? So there's the third place that I always go. So now we've talked about Google Dork commands. We've talked about going to the prospect's website. We've talked about SimilarWeb. We've talked about social media, which is always a great place to go. And now we're going to talk about public records. So once I'm done profiling the individual that I'm going to speak to, I then go to the last step, which is searching public records on a company. And if you're like me and you typically sell to larger companies that are public, this information can be quite frankly invaluable because public records can give you specific details on one, quarterly reports, earnings, expenses, profits, sales, lawsuits, all of this. So it's extremely useful when you're selling to a publicly traded company. If I'm selling to a publicly traded company, I'm taking notes on all this information, and by the time the interaction starts, I know this information at the back of my hand. So here's an example of one: financial information, statements, legal proceedings, risk factors, defaults upon senior securities, everything that they have to report to the SEC and their shareholders is actually public information. So this is somewhere, if you're selling to really large companies, it's good to know what's going on in the organization. So there's the tools that I use every day to gather intel. There's some more premium tools. Once you get, if you're part of Omega Accelerator, once you get into organic strategies and we start talking about marketing, Andrew's got some super premium stuff that you can use that will give you everything about a company. Inside information, it's a paid service, but it's very, very cutting edge. And the information is damn near always on the money. So let's take a look at part 5 of, intel gathering. And today this is all about communication models. And what is communication models? How does communication models work? That's what this is going to be all about. Once you guys have gathered your intel, once you have analyzed that intel, and you have created a plan, you need to prepare for the interaction. And to do this, you've got to understand communication, right? To be a better communicator, you must understand the foundations of communication. You must practice communication. And communication is the process of course, transferring information from one entity to another. Communication entails interactions between at least two people and can be perceived as a two-way process in which there is an exchange of information, thoughts, feelings, beliefs, or ideas toward a mutually accepted goal or direction. And communication takes many forms. There's auditorial means such as speech and tonality. There is nonverbal means such as body language, touch, eye contact, and facial expressions. And as a social engineer, you must understand how to take advantage of the verbal and the nonverbal cues to alter the prospect's perception and belief system. So this entire model, communication models, which are also known as SMCR, was founded back in 1965 by a brilliant man by the name of David Berlow. And he created these communication models that are still being used today in schools worldwide. And this communication model is, of course, called SMCR, and it's really the science behind communication. So let me walk you through each one of these little pieces here. So at the very top of this image, you see source, then we have message, then we have channel, and then we have receiver. So let's start at the S at the very beginning of the acronym and go down from top to bottom. So if you look at source, you've got communication skills, you've got attitudes, knowledge, social system, and culture. So as a social engineer, you're the source and the information and communication that is going to be relayed. So those are the elements of you. What's your communication skills? What's your attitude going into the communication? What's your knowledge? What's your social system? What is your culture? You are the source, the social engineer. Next, we go to the message. And the message is, what is your message? What are you going to communicate? What are you going to relay? What are the goals that you want to achieve through your communication and message? And what are you going to deliver to the receiver, which is the person that you are speaking to, right? So when it comes to message, we have, we have code, we have structure, we have elements, we have all of those components that really make up the message. The next piece is the channel. What is the channel for your communication? So seeing, hearing, touching, smelling, and tasting. That's basically the modes that which every human has. We have 5 senses. The modes that which people think are typically 3: kinesthetic, auditorial, and visual. But what is the channel that we want to relay our communication through? That is the 3rd step. And then once we get done with the channel, what is the receiver? What skills does the receiver have? What attitude does the receiver have? What knowledge does the receiver have? What social system does the receiver have? And what is their culture? So for example, if me, the source, mine are different, I need to adjust to them to some extent. Very, very simple, right? So the receivers, you want to basically see what their feedback is and make sure you understand what that feedback looks like. So you, the social engineer, Your whole goal is you have to determine your communication strategy prior to any social engineer. And we do this by simply reverse engineering the process and asking ourselves these questions. 1, feedback. You start with the feedback. What is your desired response? If you are selling a service, your desired response would be something along the lines of, this seems great. I love what you guys do. What do we need to do next to get started with you as one of your clients? That's your desired feedback. You want the deal done. You want them to ask the buy-in questions. You want them to close, collect the money, help them grow their business, increase the LTV of the relationship, manage the relationship, keep the churn rate low, and have clients, satisfied, right? So the feedback starts at them closing to get to the rest of that. It's cause and effect. The next piece is the receivers. This is where your intel gathering comes in. You need to know your prospects. Do they like sports? What do they do in their off time? What's their hobbies? Do they have families? Are they older or are they younger? The answers to these questions will help you send the perfect message to get the desired response that you're after. The way you're going to communicate to a 24-year-old and the way that you communicate to a 63-year-old are completely two different forms of communication. The way you dress, the way you act, the culture, the way you speak, what you do, what your brand represents, two different things, right? The next piece here is the message. If the prospect is predominantly 25 to 45-year-old males, and you notice on social media that they tend to a lot of football games, and you see they're big sports fan, this will help you open and build rapport in the beginning of your message. Your message needs to constantly adjust based off age, based off gender, based off personality, and psychometrics. You need to understand what you're getting into so you can relay the proper message. Next piece here is the channel. Pretty obvious one. How do you plan to conduct the interaction? Is it through a phone call? Is it through a hangout? Is it through an in-person meeting? What is it through? If it's virtual, I always recommend Zoom. I don't do phone calls. I do Google Hangout and Zooms. Why? 90% of us today are visual learners. So why would I take that and basically hedge everything against my own benefit? Because I know majority of people want to see something. So when you're selling something that is super high level, there needs to be a visual to it, right? With me, I've done some big deals over phone calls, but they went through a webinar first and they were so sold, they signed with me. I didn't have to do anything. They were just already sold. If he can make me feel like this, he can make my customers feel like this. That's how those deals went down. But I always do a Zoom call because people are visual and kinesthetic and auditory. Majority of people are visual, that's their dominant. That's the mode at which they think. And second is auditory. Very few people are kinesthetic, so you don't have to worry too much about that when it comes to a dominant sense. So very important there. You need to understand the channel and you need to have a game plan for that channel. And then source, of course, you're the damn social engineer. That's the source. That's where the communication is coming from. So communication modeling is extremely powerful and you must become a master of communication if you want to become a master of people, social engineering, and of course human hacking. A great way to practice communication modeling is by social engineering the people that you know. A wife, a husband, a child, a friend, a boss. You're basically going to social engineer them to take an action that you want them to take. That's of course in their best interest. Maybe it's social engineering them to try a different food spot. Maybe it's social engineering them to go on a different vacation or see a certain movie, or maybe it's social engineering your partner to agree to let you buy a boat or a car or a motorcycle and what that's going to help you with or whatever it may be. So whatever you come up with, write down your source, write down your message, write down the channel that you're going to use, write down the receiver, and go to work. Get the feedback and play with it. And then what will end up happening is once you put the reps in and you start getting it's subconsciously in your head, you'll start evaluating these things without even knowing it. Like I do every day before I go in, I know these things. These things are in my head. Every interaction before I go into, I'm asking myself, what's the feedback? receivers, message, channel, source. How does it all come together? How does it all work? I do that in my own head because I turn this into a habit, right? So your goal as a social engineer is to be able to gain intel and put that intel to work by leveraging communication models. Once you practice this enough and become proficient at it, it will change the way that you deal and interact with people. You'll be able to say less and have more impact. You'll be able to naturally become more charismatic, more confident, more influential, and you'll be able to lead people to your desires. And practice makes perfect, guys. This skill is not going to be developed overnight. I practiced this concept for like 65, 67 days before I could start using it efficiently in social engineering when it comes to business prospects. But I started with using it with my friends, my families, my colleagues, my salespeople. I started playing with it, right? And I started adjusting and I started using it and blocked out time in my calendar every day, whether it was 10 to 15 minutes to just do an example of, a communication model, whatever it may be. So that recaps today's video. On today's video, the third video in the Sell Ops program, we covered intelligence gathering. We talked about the introduction to intelligence gathering. We talked about what is intelligence gathering. We talked about why intel gathering is so damn important. We spoke about the intel gathering tools that you can use and the 4 steps that I go through before I ever go into any interaction or talk to a prospect. We talked about communication models and how important they were. We talked about how you need to practice them, how you need to become proficient at them so you can communicate better and, of course, influence and persuade better because communication makes influence and persuasion. And then we talked about the power of communication models. So quick video today, potent information. Sometimes less is more, guys. I want you to go through this. This entire presentation will be directly in the homework below. Feel free to download this to your computer, put it on your desktop, put it in a Google Drive, do whatever you have to do, but don't just go through this one time and don't just consume the information and not use the damn strategies that I shared with you today. I want to see you guys using your Google Dork commands. I want to see you guys posting in the Facebook group, showing us the files that you discover on your prospects. I want to see you, Google Docs, putting your information, tracking your information prior to going into your interactions. I want to hear how all this stuff is helping. I want to see you using SimilarWeb. I want to see you profiling your prospects, and I want to see you using public records. So please don't let me down with that. That concludes today's video. Only homework that I have for you guys today is download the Art of Intel Gathering cheat sheet. There is an entire cheat sheet below this video, which will be a massive resource to you. And the second piece is once you've downloaded that cheat sheet, you can move on to the next module, which is called the Art of Elicitation. And it's quite frankly one of the most, I'd say the second most powerful videos in the entire Sell Ops week one of Sell Ops. It's insanely valuable. And if you can go into that video with a fresh mind, with a notebook, with a pen, with some real sleep, and you pay attention and follow me, you're going to transform and you're going to be able to do things that you never thought you were able to do. So I look forward to seeing you guys all on the next video, which is video number 4 of week 1 in the Sell Ops program. And that particular video is going to be called the Art of Elicitation. You guys be great. Enjoy the day. I look forward to seeing you on the next one. If you have any questions whatsoever, make sure you pop them up in the Facebook group. And I will see you guys shortly. Take care.